I want everyone to know that today I am in charge of the weather. That doesn't happen often, but I will take credit for it today. It's a pleasure to welcome you all to Jamestown, the home of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. To our honored guests, congratulations from our entire community, and welcome to this small town on the prairie we are proud to call home. Ours is a welcoming, forward-thinking community and one of opportunity. I consider it both an honor and a pleasure to serve as mayor of Jamestown. There has been a lot of positive going on in Jamestown recently. Just a few days ago, we celebrated the ribbon cutting for a $350 to $400 million soybean processing facility. We have a multi-billion-dollar fertilizer plant coming in the next couple of years, or a few years, and of course you've all heard about Bison World. But I could go on, but time is short. When Tom Gould asked me to be here tonight, I thought it would be a good time or a great opportunity to speak about my athletic accomplishments. I know Tom is envious of my high school 8-man football team, the Audubon Zephyrs, Little Valley Conference champions from the 1960s. As with many, however, most of my athletic accomplishments are vicarious in nature. Sometimes over a beer, I get to relive some of the real-life accomplishments of my friend Dave Greenwood, my sometimes friend Tom Gould, and others. So I do get some of my vicarious athletic prowess from them, but also from others. I would like to, before I forget, introduce my wife, Joyce. Over here, Joyce, if you would give us a little wave. Joyce was a gymnast in high school through the GAA. She became a certified gymnastics judge at age 16. She went on to compete at Moorhead State, and she continued to be active in gymnastic circles for many years, and she became the first female inducted into the North Dakota Sports Officials Hall of Fame. Joyce is also an avid golfer and volunteer and a member of the North Dakota Women's Golf Hall of Fame. Joyce is a former teacher in the public schools and at St. John's Academy here in Jamestown. Some years back, a timid young girl named Rhonda entered Joyce's first grade classroom at St. John's Academy. The following spring, that same little girl left first grade energized, confident, and ready to conquer the world. The name Rhonda Rousey will be familiar to many of you. Believe it or not, back in 1966, my name was high on the list of potential draft picks. However, Chuck, a friend from high school, convinced me to sign with Team USA so that we could travel together to training camp. Later, I learned that the training camp was at Fort Lewis, Washington. So we were able to get together a few times during those 9 weeks, but then we didn't see each other again for many years. Fast forward to 1967, Chuck is living in Germany, drinking beer and partying with good-looking German girls. I'm living in a tent in Southeast Asia, eating sea rations with an occasional gourmet meal of Spam, and maybe once or twice a month enjoying a warm Ballantine beer. Unlike my now former friend Chuck, the only living creatures trying to crawl in my sleeping bag with me were insects, rodents, and reptiles. Chuck's grand plan did, however, provide me with a brush with a date in sports history. On January 15th, 1967, I was an 18-year-old U.S. Army private watching the very first Super Bowl game on a black and white TV at Oakland Army Terminal. At halftime, we were ordered onto buses for a short trip to nearby Travis Air Force Base, where we boarded a windowless Air Force cargo plane with canvas straps for seats and set off on a 2-day trip across the Pacific, with stops at Hawaii, Wake Island, Guam, and the Philippines. Eventually, we landed at a faraway land known as South Vietnam, where I was destined to spend my 19th and 20th birthdays. I arrived about 3 months after Cliff Cushman, a hero so rightly honored by the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame, made the ultimate sacrifice. As we travel through life, each of us has to make sacrifices, face challenge, disappointment, defeat, tragedy, and sometimes betrayal. We all wish that there was a way that we could keep our children and grandchildren from having to experience these difficulties in life. But we cannot and should not. What we should do is teach them to accept the fact that these things will happen and encourage them to find the strength of character to persevere and overcome as they must, or their lives will not be fulfilling. Through this process, a handful of champions, such as those we honor here tonight, will emerge. Thank you so very much, and again, welcome to Jamestown. And remember that tonight is not a night for challenges or sacrifice, but a night for celebrating and reminiscing. Thank you to all of our honorees for setting an example for all of us to follow.
Well, we applauded for the mayor as mayor and as a leader in this community, but I know we all want to do it one more time in his service to our country as a whole. Thank you, Mayor. I want to make sure you know about our sponsors, the team players, Buffalo Grill, Dale's Auto Mall and More, Jason J. Brown Dental Surgery, also Hardy Insurance, the Medicine Shop, the Jamestown Sun, also Wilhelm's, Newman, Fargo Youth Baseball, RM Stout, Whithauer, Newman, how in the world can I skip over that? Bill Tarno and the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks, which is awful nice to see them as sponsors tonight. Our legend sponsors, Microsoft, Sanford Health, and Donnie Schatz Racing. With that, I'm going to turn it over to the voice that this community knows so much. I'm going to turn it over to Mark McKenzie, who I have recruited, I've begged and tried to get to move to Fargo for years, and I'm never going to pull it off. I've given it up, so.
Thanks, Joel. We do have the meal coming up here shortly, so the first thing I want to touch on that is specifically the meat. I've been told that the pork is on the right and the chicken is on the left, so keep that in mind as you go through the line. I'm going to introduce the head table here shortly. Before I get to all of the names and the wonderful people up here, I just want to point out that for the banquet tonight, you're going to see each one of these inductees get some awards and some medals. And it's going to be kind of like Olympic style, where the medal is put over their head to hang from their neck. And each inductee is going to be awarded the Cliff Cushman Award. And I get this quite a bit from people. What is the Cliff Cushman Award? And if you haven't checked it out in your program, I'm going to read a little bit about it here. Cliff Cushman was a man with a vision. He didn't worry about what could have been. He was more interested in what could be. He was recognized as the North Dakota Athlete of the Year in 1960, and as a hurdler in track at the University of Kansas, he was outstanding. Cushman won a silver medal in the 1960 Olympic Games in Rome, placing second to another American in the 400-meter hurdles. His dream of capturing the gold medal at the 64 Games was lost when he stumbled over a hurdle in the final U.S. Olympic trial meet in Los Angeles. Everyone felt sorry for this world athlete who came so close, yet so far from reaching a dream. After the experience, Cushman wrote a letter to the Grand Forks Herald in which he asked the young people in his hometown not to feel sorry for him, but instead set goals for themselves And his letter was written on an airplane only hours after the unfortunate fall, and it will always be an inspiration. And as a matter of fact, we'll talk more about that in a bit as Ella Weipert is here, and she's going to read that letter. But after he graduated from Kansas in 1961, Cushman became a fighter pilot in the U.S. Air Force. In September of 1966, he was listed as missing in action in Vietnam. He was only 28 years old at the time. His wife, Carolyn, and his 10-month-old son, Colin, could only wait. Said his wife, after being informed of her husband's status somewhere in Vietnam, he's running the biggest race of his life. It's like watching a race in which Cliff is running only where you can't see the finish tape. But Carolyn said he's in excellent physical condition. And she said Cliff also has a very deep faith in God. What better combination could there be? Unfortunately, November 6, 1975, Cliff was officially declared dead. After his death, he was awarded the Silver Star, the Distinguished Flying Cross, and the Purple Heart. Cliff Cushman's timeless inspirational message lives on, and again, we'll be hearing that message coming up a little bit later on tonight with Ella Weipert. And I know there's famous people up here, but I don't know there's anybody more important than this lady right here, his wife, Carolyn Cushman Blaine. Would you please stand and let's give her a huge ovation. Amazing. At our table tonight, we'll start to my left, Donnie Schatz and his girlfriend, Heather. Chris Coast and his wife, Marcia, and daughter, Cameron. We've talked about Carolyn. Her husband, Dr. Dick Blaine, is at her side here tonight. Welcome. Jamestown native, the multi-talented Tessa Gould is sitting here she's going to be doing the history of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame later tonight. Tessa, thanks for coming. I mentioned Ella. She's a senior at Grand Forks Red River, and she's going to read that letter of inspiration from Cliff. Ella, thank you. Welcome. Becky Staley and husband Maurice Staley. It's here for the Staleys. Of course, sharing MC duties with me tonight, radio legend Joel Heitkamp. He's to my right. And on the far end, we have the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame president, Dave Greenwood. Thanks, Dave, for everything going into tonight. And we're about ready to eat. And again, I need to just hammer on this. For the meat, the pork is on the right, the chicken is on the left. And at this time, we are going to have our prayer before we have our meal. Maurice Staley, please come forward.
Greetings. To all family, friends, dignitaries, former coaches, competitors, and inductees. Chris Coast, Becky Wells Staley, Danny Schatz. What a wonderful privilege and opportunity granted unto us to gather as we reflect upon one of the many of God's miraculous reflections witnessed through sport in the lives of Chris, Becky, and Danny. The admiration that we collectively share for each individual athlete celebrated this evening unites us all due to the one who so choose to endow these marvelous athletes with the gift of athleticism. Not by might, nor by power, nor by my spirit, says the Lord of hosts. Some trust in chariots, some in horses, but we remember the name of the Lord our God. Let us pray. Heavenly Father, eternal God, thank you for this day. Thank you for this opportunity. Thank you for the food that we're about to receive. Heavenly Father, thank you for fellowship. Father, thank you for your spirit that lives on and is recognized in so many and through so many and continues to bear spirit with us. Father, we just thank you for the great nation that we live in and all of the freedoms that are afforded unto us. It's in the name of Jesus Christ that I pray. Amen. Thank you.
It's time to eat. Have at it.
All right. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on Magnitude Sports tonight. We're here at the Jamestown Civic Center for the 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony. My name is Mike. Nice
One
crowd
more
on hand
question, I
here,
guess,
and
are-
more comments
Is the
from
food
him.
being brought out to the head table, or does the head table go to the food? The head table goes to the food. Okay, so the head table will start first.
All right, we got the answer to that question. So they have a silent auction going on here tonight. We'll kind of show you some of the items that they got. Starting in that far corner there, Mike Peluso, hockey player for the Philadelphia Flyers
I guess we'll go with
from
some
North
rhyme or
Dakota.
reason. We'll start with the mayor, then after the head table, and just kind of work our way back and forth to the tables.
That's a particular item that I'm interested in, so hopefully nobody outbids me on that one. But as we go across the table here, some gift cards from local businesses, as well as a New York Giants coat there that's available. As we continue, I'll point out the items that I recognize. There's a Jamestown Jimmy's football helmet that is available for silent auction. A Darren Erstad jersey. Of course, Darren Erstad from North Dakota. All these players from North Dakota. Of course, a good amount of Minnesota Vikings fans in here in the state of North Dakota. Maybe split with the Green Bay Packers. And let's see here. What's that? That is a, looks like a North Dakota State Bison jacket, possibly one of the old school versions of that. Bag toss. We got a Osborne jersey of the Green Bay Packers. And then a couple of Cody Mauch jerseys from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Of course, Cody Mauch attended Hankinson High School. I've been lucky enough to call some play-by-play for his football and basketball games for the Hankinson Pirates. And, of course, he was drafted this most recent draft season by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he's played a few games for them. So right now those jerseys are under a silent auction. I haven't been down there recently, but I know that we've got at least one bid on that jersey as of last time. Snuck in the middle there, that white jersey in between the two Cody Mauch jerseys. That is Fargo Moorhead Redhawks, and I believe he played for the Philadelphia Phillies, if I'm not mistaken. Chris Kost. Of course, Chris Kost also one of the managers for the Fargo Moorhead Redhawks. And then you can kind of see the white football there. That's a 2021 team signed championship NDSU Bison football that's available there. So those are just some of the items that are available for silent auction. And I'm presuming that those will be announced here at the end of the night. As I was told that they were going to start at 7. Looks like they're going to start at 6:30, eat, and then probably come back with more here in a little bit. So if that's the case, then we'll just keep it on a wide shot until they get back to chit-chatting on the microphone. So we will hear from, as I mentioned, when we took a look at those items, Chris Kost, manager for the Fargo FM Redhawks, who won a championship last year, the American Association Championship. And they've been a very competitive baseball team here over the past couple of decades here in the Fargo Moorhead area. It's always fun to go to a Fargo Moorhead Redhawks game. Of course, I have a few friends personally that do play-by-play and PA announcing for the FM Redhawks. So another person that you will hear the name of tonight is Donnie Schatz, a NASCAR racer. And then Becky Wells Staley, who is a track and field star for Florida. And she's going to be inducted tonight here into the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. So that's a little bit of what's upcoming here. And once again, we got those silent auction items here. We're at the Jamestown Civic Center as the participants who have attended tonight, bought their ticket, are going to enjoy some free food. And what we're going to do is we're just going to keep it on the wide shot here. And when they get back to more, we will bring more as well. See here, if I'm looking at my little sheet here, see if there's any other information I can pass along to you. So the social started at 5:30, which we didn't air because, you know, it's a social. So then the silent auction and then the banquet and then the induction ceremony is coming up right after the banquet. So it's nice to get some food in the belly there before the induction ceremony, and certainly looking forward to that. We'll bring it to you live here on Magnitude Sports, and we certainly appreciate you tuning in. Don't forget, we have more high school sports action coming up for you on November 28th. This is our first basketball broadcast. Girls basketball on November 28th, and then boys basketball on November 30th. December 16th, we'll have an exciting day of basketball, boys basketball for you. A couple of North Dakota teams, including the Fargo Shanley Deacons and the Central Cass Squirrels, will make an appearance on Magnitude Sports on December 16th. And then we'll also see the Central Cass Squirrels coming up in February here on Magnitude Sports when they travel to Bismarck, North Dakota, to take on the Shiloh Christian Skyhawks in a girls and boys basketball doubleheader, and we'll have those four North Dakota games for you live here on Magnitude Sports coming up this winter. So, of course, coming up this spring and fall, we'll have some Fargo Post 400 baseball for you coming up as well here on Magnitude Sports. And, of course, you can check our website at magnitudesn.com and click on the schedule button to look at more of what we got coming up here on Magnitude Sports this winter sports season. Once again, you're tuned into the 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony here on Magnitude Sports, live from the Jamestown Civic Center in Jamestown, North Dakota. They just went through kind of the opening announcements and introductions, and they're going to get some food in their bellies, and then when we come back, it'll be the induction ceremony here live on Magnitude Sports from the Jamestown Civic Center. Thanks so much for tuning in. We will be back shortly here. We'll keep it on this wide shot here, and we won't let you we won't give you any zoomed in shots of people eating. I don't know how courteous that would be if we were to do something like that, but we will be back here once they get the rest of this ceremony going, and we'll just keep it on this live shot here and have you enjoy the ambiance. So if you want to go put like a pizza in the oven and come back and say, well, let's see, this is supposed to start at we're at 7:01 now. I would imagine the induction ceremony will probably get underway at about 7:15, 7:30 at the latest. So I'd say about 15, 30 minutes if you want to go throw a pizza in the oven, or if you want to cook up maybe some hamburger helper. That's what I had before I came here tonight, so I will not be eating because I'm already full. So, all right, well, I'll put the mic to the side, and we'll come back and chat in a little bit here on Magnitude Sports. Thanks for tuning in.
Jeff. No, she didn't even look at his phone. I asked him a question. So I'm still writing my speech, okay? I'm being some factoid. Verified, or they're going to be made up. I asked him if this supposed to play basketball.
Flies. Got a game this summer when he tripled the lead off the game.
I'm surprised they don't put signs. Well, exactly. I mean, just
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Like Bruce did, you know, for high school ball, they had a Legion team there.
Oh, really?
well, when you're in college, I think. I'm not entirely sure where.
Oh, okay.
But I'm thinking for like a major aerospace engineering.
Well, then I know where it is. Couldn't play for that.
No, so I'm not entirely sure. Ella is very talented and multifaceted in music and athletics and in her scholastics. So she has a lot of opportunities, which is awesome.
Everything going for it. That's nice.
What instrument do you play? I play the piano and the violin.
Are you going to be able to continue going in college?
I might continue the violin, probably not the piano. I play the piano for fun. My sister's really musical, so I kind of just took it after. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, great.
I know. Kind of
Thank you.
bummed that I put my Mick Ultra in mine.
He does.
Sit down.
Fondly, yeah. Yeah. I grew up here. I was parents there, and then classmates of mine. It was a wonderful place to grow up, you know, very ideological. And, you know, I grew up in a town where we played every sport because if we didn't, there wouldn't be a team, right? And so, like, my main sport was basketball, but I ran and even played volleyball for the first time that we created a team for the first year of high school girls volleyball. And I was horrible. We were horrible. But we did it because somebody had to start it, right? And eventually they were going to get good. But, yeah, you know, you just did it. You rode your bike everywhere, ate lunch at whoever's house was closest, and that's just kind of how it rolled. Yeah, it's lunch. Yeah. Sure.
Can I take a picture?
I did. There's one on the podium.
his dear buddy, he's a baseball. He's a Twins fan, but anything baseball he loves. He's gonna be jealous. I'm actually it's our first one. True. Right. I have my phone shut off. I just turned it on. Oh, okay.
All right, everyone, we're going to proceed here shortly, but a quick reminder, there's plenty of food. If you want to go through the line again, that is fine. And don't forget to wet your whistle over here with Cork and Barrel.
So I was in Arizona a few years ago. I went to a Padre Spring Creek plant brewers. And this is pretty common. One of the major leagues sitting there, you know, they're selling their items. Actually, it's not the same thing.
That's the European way to eat your salad last.
Oh, it is?
It's supposed to be better for your digestion. They say.
I had a feeling I wasn't going to talk to you. How do you know it's a truck?
Barry Bonds signed his 7-year deal for $49 million. I remember that too. And then A-Rod, his deal, people were freaking out about that. You know, because there's so much first 2 months of his first season, he had already made
mostly
look at the
because
Padres,
the history
the Yankees.
was not well documented.
And it shows you, like, obviously, typically you have to spend money, but you also have to be I'll use some lags. It's one thing like the Diamondbacks, right? Like the Diamondbacks are still gonna have a short window because eventually those stars are gonna get to the age of development. Ready to light the candle every year.
Yes.
Let's do it. You're the one.
Yeah, you're right.
They continue to build this. They got some sort of magic.
It's like Houston lose their run here with that tough money. It's like they're like you're out of the Orlando, of course, but
I remember 2008 when we won that series. I was in spring training. And he was supposed to be back in spring training. I remember
Now, I assume they were on this table.
no, we didn't. And even like 2 years ago, well, I guess I was underrated a couple years ago. So it's a good message. If they do, we're going to look at your No, but they moved right. They spent it on the right thing. They've done the right thing. They spent on two Hall of Fame pitchers. Trying to convince him to lie. Just trust me. He and his wife.
Okay, we'll continue with the program at this point. How was the meal? Good. Well, next up, we're going to talk more about the history of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. And to give you the scoop on that, it's Tessa Gould.
Thanks, Gavin.
You're welcome.
We're actually not going to talk too much about the history, and I'll tell you why. But when Pam called and asked me to talk about why my grandfather, Jack Brown, started the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame, I thought, okay, there's probably 4 reasons why I am the person who was selected to do this. Number 1 is because my uncle, R.D. Brown, absolutely refused to do it. The second reason is probably because my brother Jeff and I love to compete against each other at a silent auction. So if you see my name written in a man's handwriting, let me know. The third reason, I guess, is because in a way, I feel like I'm connected to all 3 of these nominees tonight. I was telling Becky, there's a number of my high school classmates here, and we were high school classmates with Jenny Schmeichel, who she ran against many times. And I said, I'm sure that you prevented our friend from winning her 3rd state title. So hey, welcome to Jamestown. And we remember you very, very well. And of course, I think we also may have snuck down to Aberdeen and maybe had our first drinks watching Danny race. And we love baseball, so of course we know who Chris is. The third reason, or fourth reason, is because in 30 years in politics and PR, I'm pretty good at crisis management, and no one actually really wrote down the history of how this started, so hey, you just make it up. But I did try to do some research, which included talking to my grandmother, who said, I don't know, Jack just did stuff. Which is true, he did. I also talked to my uncle, who said, I remember my mother saying, Jack, you have a lot of plaques and trophies and sports stuff. Can you get it out of the house? Because it's taking over everything. that didn't really seem like the real reason. So I called Darren King, who coached football in Grand Forks for a number of years. His father was very involved in the creation of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. Darren said, I don't know, whenever your grandpa called my dad, he just did it. He said yes, he never said no. But you should call my mom. I called Nancy King, and she said, yeah, whenever Jack called, Bob said, yeah, we'll do it, whatever it was. So, I don't know. The short answer is, I don't know. But I do know a little bit about my grandpa. I know what motivated him. And he was just the kind of guy who saw a need and filled it. He was also a guy who loved sports, and he knows and knew what sports meant to a community, to the people who love athletes, and how bringing all of that together could really provide an opportunity for people to celebrate those accomplishments. And nothing gave him more pride than to be able to bring people to Jamestown, to have them walk around the Civic Center, to find their family member or people that they know, and be able to recognize them in a way that they don't get to every single day. It's also funny because it's really not a coincidence that baseball has a very prominent position here at the Civic Center, and we always gave them a little bit of grief about that. But one kind of funny thing that happened when the very first banquet was held in 1992, I was with Jack when Phil Jackson's second wife called on his bag phone in the car. She was very concerned about his security and how he was going to get from the hotel to the Civic Center. And my grandpa had explained to her, he told me, several phone calls before, that it was a very short distance. And she said, I don't care how far it is, he needs security. This is Phil Jackson. And my grandpa was a pretty easygoing guy. And finally he said, you know, a toddler could ride a trike from the Gladstone to the Civic Center. He's gonna be okay. Jack really knew how to handle people, I guess, is the best way to say it. And having 21 sports represented here would give him a lot of pride. I think it shows the diversity of what people are able to accomplish in North Dakota. And you know, there's so many times as I travel the country when people will say, where are you from? And I very proudly say, Jamestown, North Dakota, and they will reply, oh wow, I've been to so many states, but 48 or 49, but I've never been to North Dakota. And I always say, we are missing the best one. You should come. And when you come, you will meet the people of North Dakota, which is what makes it so great. And I don't think that there is anything that exists quite like the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame, because in North Dakota, we celebrate each other. We take so much pride in people like Danny and Chris and Becky, and when you see them on TV accomplishing amazing feats and their athleticism, we all cheer for them. We're all on their team. We feel like they're our sister or brother. And it's an amazing thing that gets to happen over and over. And that's why it's such an honor to be here, to honor you, and to have you forever on the walls of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. So thank you for being here and bringing your families and letting us add you to the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Tessa. I get this question around town which still baffles me. And again, we're a nonprofit organization, so we're out and about here the last few months trying to find sponsors and donors, auction items. And people in town would say, we didn't know the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame is in Jamestown. Well, first of all, when you walk up to the Jamestown Civic Center, right on the building, it says home of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. So I just can't believe people don't know that it's here. And we're happy it's here. We're excited it's here. We're going to add more members to it tonight. And if you walk around the concourse up there, all the past inductees, you can see right up there as well. There's the North Dakota Hall of Fame where we put in just local talent. It doesn't have to be somebody who went on to a national stage. And then if you keep going around the concourse, then you'll get into the members. Jack Brown, by the way, is in the Hall of Fame. And when you walk into the lobby, there's all the big portraits of the people that are in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it just jumps out at you. And I just can't believe that people don't know that this is where the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame is. When you come into the lobby and those inductees' pictures practically are falling into your lap. And we're going to add 3 more pictures to that lobby tonight. If you get time tonight or any day, come in here and walk around. You look at Phil Jackson's locker, Darren Ersted's locker, Virgil Hill's locker. Everybody who's in the Hall of Fame has got memorabilia in here in a locker that's designated for them. It's pretty special. Earlier tonight, I talked about the Cliff Cushman Award. And we have Ella Whitebird here. She's a senior at Grand Forks Red River High School. And I read to you what happened with Cliff, and he has a timeless, inspirational message that lives on yet today. And with more on that, let's welcome Ella Whitebird.
So this is an open letter to the youth from an Olympic athlete. Don't feel sorry for me, I feel sorry for some of you. You may have seen the U.S. Olympic trials on television September 13th. If so, you watched me hit the 5th hurdle, fall, and lie on the track in an inglorious heap of skinned elbows, bruised hips, torn knees, and injured pride, unsuccessful in my attempt to make the Olympic team for the 2nd time. In a split second, all the many years of training, pain, sweat, blisters, and agony of running were simply and irrevocably wiped out. But I tried, and I'd much rather fail knowing I put forth an honest effort than to never have tried at all. This is not to say that everyone is capable of making an Olympic team. However, each of you is capable of making your own personal Olympic team, whether it may be the high school football team, the glee club, the honor roll, or whatever your goal may be. Unless your reach exceeds your grasp, how can you be sure what you can attain? And don't you think there are better things than cigarettes, hot rod cars, school dropouts, excessive makeup, and ducktail grease cuts? Over 15 years ago, I saw a star, first place in the Olympic Games. I literally started to run for it. In 1960, I came within 3 yards of grabbing it. This year, I stumbled, fell, and watched it recede 4 more years away. Certainly, I was very disappointed in falling flat on my face. However, there's nothing I can do about it now but get up, pick the cinders from my wounds, and take one more step, followed by one more, and one more until the steps turn to miles and miles into success. I know I may never make it. The odds are against me. But I have something in my favor, desire and faith. Romans 5:3-5 has always had an inspirational meaning to me in this regard. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, endurance produces character, character produces hope, and hope does not disappoint us. At least I'm going to try. How about you? Would a little extra effort on your part bring up your grade average? Would you have a better chance at making the high school football team if you stayed an extra 15 minutes after practice and worked on your blocking? Let me tell you something about yourselves. You're taller and heavier than any past generation in this country. You spend more money, enjoying more freedom, and driving more cars than ever before, yet many of you are very unhappy. Some of you have never known the satisfaction of doing the best in sports, the joy of excelling in class, the wonderful feeling of completing a job, any job, and looking back at it, knowing you've done your best. I dare you to have your hair cut and not wilt under the comments of your so-called friends. I dare you to clean up your language. I dare you to honor your mother and father. I dare you to go to church without having to be compelled to go by your parents. I dare you to unselfishly help someone less fortunate than yourself and enjoy the wonderful feeling that goes with it. I dare you to become physically fit. I dare you to read a book that's not required in school. I dare you to look up at the stars, not down at the mud, and set your sights on one of them that, up to now, you thought was unattainable. There's plenty of room at the top, but no room for anyone to sit down. Who knows? You may be surprised with what you can achieve with sincere effort. So get up, pick the cinders from your wounds, and take one more step. I dare you. Sincerely, Clifton E. Cushman.
Thank you, Ella. Well, we're almost to the point of doing our inductions. I want to touch on a little bit more on the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame member associations. We have our National High School Sports, North Dakota Amateur Baseball, Inc., North Dakota Amateur Basketball Association, North Dakota Amateur Hockey Association. Again, you'll see these plaques around the Civic Center. North Dakota Amateur Softball, North Dakota American Legion Baseball, North Dakota AP Sportscasters and Sports Writers, North Dakota Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association, North Dakota Athletic Trainers Association, North Dakota Babe Ruth Baseball, North Dakota Bull Hunters Association, North Dakota Handball Association. Any of our inductees ever played handball? Yeah? How about that? Yeah? Cool. We also have North Dakota Horseshoes Pitchers Association. No one? North Dakota Men's Golf Association, North Dakota Officials Association, North Dakota Recreation and Park Association, North Dakota Shooting Sports Association, North Dakota Tennis Association, North Dakota USBC Bowling Association, North Dakota Women's Golf Association, Prairie Rose State Games, Prairie Rose Jack Brown Award of Excellence, all part of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame member associations. We also have many of our Hall of Fame committee members here tonight, and I would like them to stand. If you are a member of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame, please stand at this time. And not only is he a member, he's our president. Here's Dave Greenwood.
Gavin, you stole my lines.
Sorry.
When this was started in '92, there's just a few of us around still that have been to all the banquets. I know Tom has, Edie and Jeff and those guys, they've probably been here all this time. But it's a good outfit. We try to do well, but I don't think we could survive if we didn't have Pam and the girls here. They seem to do most of the work. So I'm going to keep this short because, first of all, I'm not a very good speaker. But anyway, in '92, when Phil Jackson, Roger Maris, and Dave Osborne went in, and all of the other inductees from that point to this, we would just like to welcome myself and with the committees to welcome Donnie, and I'm forgetting my lines here, so I'm sorry. We'd just like to welcome Donnie and Chris. And Becky, excuse me, I'm sorry, to their Hall of Fame. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. All right, let's do some inductions. First up, we have Chris Coast. Chris graduated from Fargo South High School in 1991, and after 1 year of junior college baseball in Chicago, he transferred to Concordia College, where he's a 3-time conference MVP and 3-time All-American for the Cobbers. And to this day, Chris still holds several hitting and pitching records for his alma mater. After college, Chris played 1 year of independent baseball in Brainerd, Minnesota and Brandon, Manitoba before catching on with the FM Redhawks, Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks, for the inaugural season, 1996. He played 4 seasons with the Redhawks before eventually being signed by the Cleveland Indians for the 2000 season. Played 3 seasons in the Cleveland organization, was the starting catcher in the 2002 AAA All-Star Game, was named MVP of the Buffalo Bisons, the AAA affiliate for the Cleveland Indians. Chris was a AAA All-Star again in 2005 for Scranton. That's the AAA team for the Philadelphia Phillies, where he played third base, led the entire Phillies organization in RBIs that season. Now, Chris returned to the Phillies organization in 2006 and was eventually called up to the major leagues in May of that season. He started out 0 for 13 in his major league career. But he went on to record his first hit in June, and he then went on a tear. He hit .328 for the Phillies, leading the organization in batting average, so he got it going big time. Now, when I was sitting next to Chris having supper tonight, I'm a San Diego Padres fan. I'm the only one, I think, in North Dakota. And I said, Chris, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you hit your first major league home run at Petco Park against the San Diego Padres. And he said, you're spot on. That's where it happened. So Chris went on to play the next 3 seasons for the Phillies and was part of 2 World Series teams, winning the title in 2008, and they were the runner-up to the Yankees in 2009. He's got the World Series ring here, so it's fantastic. Now, Coast was very popular with the Phillies fans and had a fan club that was at every Phillies game known as the Coast Guard. Well, that makes sense, the Coast Guard. And I would think you guys would be wearing life preservers here or something, but... He retired after spring training in 2010, served as a TV analyst for the Phillies for the 2011-2012 seasons before joining the Concordia College coaching staff in 2013. Coach served as the head coach from 2015 to 2022 and is currently the manager of the Fargo-Moorhead Redhawks baseball team in Fargo. Now, here's something very unique. Chris was awarded the Manager of the Year for the American Association, of course, where the Redhawks play, in 2022. They won it all, the AA championship in September of that year, but he also won the MIAC Coach of the Year for Concordia baseball team during his final season for the Cobbers. That also was in 2022. What a great year. Chris is also a member of the Buffalo, New York Baseball Hall of Fame, the Mexican Winter League Baseball Hall of Fame, the Fargo Post 2 Baseball Hall of Fame, and the Concordia College Hall of Fame. Chris currently lives in Perham, Minnesota with his wife Marcia and daughter Cameron, and the Coast's daughter Casey is in grad school in Santa Barbara, California, so she wasn't able to make it here tonight. We want to recognize her as well. Ladies and gentlemen, on your feet, as we welcome 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Chris Coast.
All right, well, thank you for this award and for being here tonight. When I was a kid and growing up in government housing in South Fargo, throwing a tennis ball up against the steps and being chased by the manager of the apartments for causing a ruckus with tennis balls, I never thought I'd be standing here this many years later in the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame, so quite an honor. My wife and I, my wife's Marcia, we have 2 daughters, as he mentioned. Our older daughter, Casey's 24. She grew up in the baseball life. She saw the lowest of the lows, living in a host family's basement on a air mattress, and then she got to experience being in the major leagues and winning a World Series. My younger daughter, Cameron's 15. She was born during our World Series year, but she never really got to experience the baseball life like my older daughter, Casey, has. So Casey still sees me like, the major leaguer and dad, which is pretty cool, but Cameron just sees me as a dad, which pretty cool dad, obviously, but still, she doesn't see me like as a baseball player. In fact, we talk more about volleyball in our house than anything. In fact, part of our conversations up here was about 90% volleyball and what Cameron's gonna do for volleyball and things like that. But Cameron asked me, she's like, do you have a speech planned or are you just gonna wing it? And I was like, well, I'll probably just wing it, And so I had a meeting with my realtor earlier today, and he's like, congratulations on the North Dakota Hall of Fame. What do you got for a speech? I'm like, I'm not sure because I could go for 45 minutes or I could go for 5 minutes. And he said, these people like you, but they don't like you that much. Go for 5 minutes. Okay, so I'll kind of finish with this real quick, and that is, I could stand up here for hours and talk about my path that led me here, but really the biggest one was the Red Hawks. There's a lot of steps along the way. You take any of those steps out of my path to my career, and maybe I don't make it to the major leagues. But when I graduated from Concordia in 1995, I thought I was going to get drafted. I had a great college career, but I was at the Division III level, so not a lot of exposure, not a lot of attention. And so when I wasn't drafted, I kind of thought that my baseball path was over. Luckily, in those days, 1995 going into 1996, independent baseball around the country had grown rapidly. The St. Paul Saints were kind of the benchmark franchise, and a lot of teams were trying to be like them. And I was at home like in September of 1995 wondering where my baseball life was going to go. And when it was announced through all the media in North Dakota and especially the Fargo-Moorhead area, but basically all over our region, that Fargo was going to get a team, man, I didn't sleep for days. All I could think about was, I got to be a part of this team, but nobody knows who I am. How am I going to be part of this team? When they had the name unveiling party at Playmakers that year, my wife and I bought a ticket and went to it just as fans and saw how professional this was going to be. And Dan Gladden comes out in a Red Hawks uniform that looked like the old Twins uniforms. And I was like, man, I got to be a part of this situation. Fast forward to early December, I believe, is when they named their manager, Doug Simonek. And I saw this, read the article, studied up on him, and I'm thinking, I just want to get a tryout for this team. And first week of December, my phone rings, and it's Doug Simonek. And he says, Chris Coase, this is Doug Simonek, Fargo-Moorhead Red Hawks, want to sign you to a contract. And it was just like that. And eventually I put down the phone, and my wife and I are jumping around her basement living room, and I felt like we had won the lottery. I was going to make $700 a month, which obviously is not a lot of money, but to get paid anything to play baseball or any kind of a sport at the age of basically 22 felt like $1 million. So once again, I felt like I won the lottery. The next day, my phone rings. It's Doug Simonek, or Chris Coase, Doug Simonek. I got to be honest with you. You have no chance to make this team. And I went from the day before thinking I'm on the team to all of a sudden he's telling me I have no chance to be on the team. Now, I'm sure plenty of people in here have spoken to Doug Simonek in the past, so you know how there's no filter system in the brain. Whatever's in his brains comes right out of his mouth. He said, well, I didn't really want to sign you anyways, but the management and the GM and the media, they want a local guy to put a face to the franchise. But he goes, I felt I owed it to you to be honest with you. He wasn't trying to be mean or rude. He was just trying to let me know, like, maybe I should try to find somewhere else to play at some point or something to that effect. And I asked him, I'm like, well, in spring training in May, when everyone comes to town, if I do really well, do I have a chance to make the team? He's like, well, yeah, of course. But he goes, honestly, you have no chance to make this team. Put the phone down, and I went to Concordia and took batting practice and threw the ball, went to the YMCA, lifted weights, for like a couple hours, and all I could repeat in my head was, you have no chance to make this team. I did that every single day, even on holidays, New Year's Day. I happened to know the people who ran the YMCA, so they'd let me in even on holidays before the 24-hour passes. And I just did this every day because all I just wanted to be a part of that team. Major leagues weren't even a consideration. I just wanted to be a Red Hawk. For me, that was my major leagues. So fast forward all the way to May. All these guys are coming into town. You have 4 or 5 guys who played in the major leagues. You had Darryl Molly, who won a World Series with the Kansas City Royals, hit a homer in Game 7, caught the final out in Game 7. We had just an unbelievable team that Doug Simonic and the ownership group put together. And I'm looking around, I'm like, how in the heck am I going to make this team? But all the lifting weights and preparation and batting practice, I did really, really well in the practices. But how you make the team is, you have 8 exhibition games that we would play. Played one of them actually here in Jamestown. And if you do well in those games, you have a chance to make the team. Well, half the team's already decided upon, so I just needed to get a chance to get in the games. The first 4 games, I didn't play at all. Doug Simonic didn't put me in there at all. I think in game number 5, I was actually in Perham. I got 1 pinch hit, got a hit. I think the next game, we come here to Jamestown to play an exhibition game, I think against Sioux City maybe. And I had like 3 hits, a home run and a double, and he calls me in, he's like, man, congratulations, you're probably going to make this team. He goes, I don't know what spot you're going to play or what the situation is going to be, but you'll probably make the team. And obviously I was happy about that, but I was like, well, if I do really well in these last 2 exhibition games, do I have a chance to be a starter on this team? He's like, you have no chance to be a starter on this team. Luckily for me, what was supposed to be our starting second baseman, an All-American from USC, had a bad finger, so he had to miss a couple of games. It kind of opened the door for me. Next game, a couple more homers, final exhibition game, Turnstile plays at second base, another home run, and all of a sudden, I'm the team's starting second baseman. So I went from no chance to be, I was signed on the team, the next day, no chance to be on the team, go that whole winter and early spring just trying to prepare mentally and physically to make the team, and show up to training camp and make the team, and not only make the team, become the team starting second baseman. Life was amazing. But probably the biggest thing that ever happened in my career happened the 3rd game of the season. And I was the starting second baseman. I felt like I won the lottery, beautiful stadium. We were going to sell out 4,000 fans every single game. I felt like a major leaguer everywhere we went. We were treated like major leaguers, the ownership group, Brad and Bruce Thome and everyone in between, the John Dietrich, the general manager, treated us like major leaguers. 3rd game of the season, we're in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. It's Sunday, it's a day game. We get on the bus about 10:30 in the morning. We get on the bus and Doug Simonic is like, guys, we have no catcher. We only had 1 catcher at the time. His name was Mike Crosby. He had just been signed by the Montreal Expos organization. We had no catcher. And he goes, we need a catcher. Who wants to do it? And in a half a second, I had a million thoughts going through my head. I'm like, man, I'm the starting second baseman. That's pretty cool. Second base is fun. But my grandpa always told me from when I was a young age, man, if you want to make the major leagues, you got to become a catcher, because I was a good baseball player, but I was very slow-footed, did not run well at all. In fact, in Doug Simonic's words, I was slower than fog off a dog crap. Take a moment to picture that if you want. So foot speed was always going to keep me out of the major leagues. But being a catcher, man, that's tough. You're expected to block the ball. You got 100 miles an hour coming at you. It's sliding. It's in the dirt. You got foul tips in the mask or wherever. But I thought that, man, maybe this would be kind of fun. I rose my hand and became the catcher. And that day kind of put me on my path. It still took me quite a while. But without that, first of all, without the Red Hawks, but without that one opportunity becoming a catcher, because I was never going to play on the infield in the major leagues. Catcher was my only chance. But that door opening, and there was a few kind of like that, but that was the single biggest probably moment that opened up a door in my career. And once again, it took me quite a while to make the major leagues after that. As much as my wife and I would love to have played in the major leagues for 15 years and have $100 million in the bank, the way that it went was it could not have gone any better. And I'll finish with this. When I was younger, growing up in Fargo, I didn't know there was anywhere else other than North Dakota. In those days, no social media, not a lot of TV. It's like growing up in Fargo, I thought North Dakota was the only place on the earth. So I thought I was going to be Reggie Jackson or Harmon Killebrew or whoever. And then once I got to high school, I realized, man, being from Fargo, being from North Dakota, I almost thought it was kind of a liability, to be honest with you, because of, not because it's a bad state, obviously, but because of the lack of baseball that we get to play when you're younger. When I got in the minor leagues, and even like the Red Hawks, I realized it was a gift, because everywhere I went, whether I was in the Red Hawks or the minor leagues, if I said I was from North Dakota, it was a huge conversation piece. Anybody who's ever met anybody from North Dakota has always had an amazing experience, and I became proud of it the way I probably should have been a long time ago. But it kind of made me realize that everywhere I went, whether I was in the minor leagues, in the major leagues in Philadelphia, or when I was with the Astros, or anywhere in between, it was like being from North Dakota. There was no better place I could have said. I could have said Texas, no one would have cared. I could have said New York, no one would have cared. You know, maybe Hawaii, that'd be a pretty cool place to be. But being from North Dakota was probably one of the better assets that I had going for me, because it opened the door. It made people pay more attention to my story, which is one of the reasons why I was able to get to the major leagues. So being from North Dakota, holy cow, it's been such a gift. And so to be here, and you look at the names up here tonight, obviously, but also throughout history, and I look at the baseball players that have been inducted in the North Dakota Hall of Fame, and the amount of major leaguers from North Dakota, not a lot of us, but the amount of us who've won a World Series, it's pretty insane. I've always said a team can't win a World Series without a guy from North Dakota on it. So hopefully Matt Strom gets that with the Phillies next year if he's back with them, and we'll keep track of that. But special thanks to Red Hawks. A lot of Red Hawks fans here, a lot of friendly faces in the group. My high school and youth buddy Tom Hager, one of my best friends ever, is here tonight. So thanks for coming, Tom. Other than that, once again, thanks for being here, and thanks for this honor.
Our next inductee, Becky Wells Staley. Now, Becky Wells Staley established herself as one of the most elite female Native American athletes in history while running track and field and cross country. Becky is a member of the Blackfoot and Blood Tribe and a 20-time North Dakota state champion. She graduated from Dickinson High School, holding the fastest times in the country for the high school girls 1,600 meters and 800 meters in 1993. And she was the U.S. Junior National Champion in the girls 1,500 meters in 1993. Wells Staley went on to represent the U.S. in the Junior Pan Am American Games in Winnipeg. She was a silver medalist. She signed with the University of Alabama to run track and field and cross country. She was the Southeastern Cross Country Conference winner in her first season with the Tide. She was the Junior National Cross Country Champion in 1994 and placed second in the Women's Division I indoor mile in 1995. In 1995, Wells Staley transferred to the University of Florida, became a Gator. She quickly became an All-American runner, meaning she was one of the top 25 cross-country runners in America, or one of the top 8 in the country in the women's mile, 1,500 meters, or a member of the top 8 distance medley relay. She was the Commissioner Trophy Award winner twice while running for the Florida Gators. The Commissioner's Trophy, by the way, goes to the highest point scorer at the SEC Track and Field Championships. She ended her career with the Gators winning the NCAA Division I national title in the indoor women's mile and the outdoor women's 1,500 meters. Let's hear it for that. She is a 10-time All-American in track and field and cross country. Now, Wells Staley went on to represent Nike, Reebok, and the Native American Sports Council as a professional athlete in track and field. Her races took place in the USA and in Europe. She qualified for the 2000 and 2004 U.S. Olympic trials in track and field in the 800 meters and the 1,500 meters. Wells Staley was inducted into the Dickinson High School Hall of Fame, the North Dakota Athletics Hall of Fame, the University of Florida Hall of Fame, and the North American Indigenous Athletics Hall of Fame. Now a cross-country coach at Division III, Gustavus Adolphus College in St. Peter, Minnesota, Wells Staley is teaching her craft to the next generation of runners. Among her other accomplishments are her family, her husband Maurice, who played football for the University of Tennessee, her sons Eleazar, Ephraim, Nashan, and Nathan. Ladies and gentlemen, on your feet for 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Becky Wells Staley.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to come back to North Dakota. It's good to be home. When I was called a year ago, when Pam said you've been nominated and inducted, I have to admit one of the first things that I thought of, or shortly after I got off the phone, was Jenny Schmeichel. That was a good competition back and forth. She was an amazing athlete out of Jamestown here. But just, I want to say thank you for having the Sports Hall of Fame. Thank you for everyone that was part of this happening tonight. I know it's been a long process. Very proud to be among the walls with all of you guys. And speaking of, you know, being from North Dakota, I wouldn't be here tonight if it wasn't the things that you guys showed me growing up. It was, yep, that hard work, dedication. I was with a coach once and he said, you know, if you're from up there, they make them tough, and you guys do. So I'm thankful for the people that you are and for the things that you instill in people that live here in the Midwest. So this started probably when I was 8 years old. My parents over there, Robin and Jerry, they were high school athletes. So my dad was still training for competitions when I was young, and in my mind, he was the best runner ever. So thank you for being my inspiration. As Ella read about the ups and downs of sports, we always see, I mean, it's amazing to have all of the accolades that we've accomplished, and I'm sure we can all attest that there's the other side of that, which is the disappointments, the injuries, the heartaches, the hard times, opportunities that only come around every once in a while that maybe do or do not work out. And so there was one person that, well, I had a team of people, but my encourager, Robin, my mom, was always there, whether it was a phone call, a hug. Thank you for being my encourager. And this all started with a dream when I was probably, those are our 4 boys over there. Nashan waved to everybody. He's our 6th grader. This started with a dream when I was his age. And I have to say, with my husband, who we do youth sports, he's coached our boys in basketball, football. I don't know, my name even got up. They called me to coach some basketball. I said, I'm not your person for a basketball team. But I have a man over there, Jerry Schwartz from Dickinson, North Dakota, who saw something in me as a 6th grader. He gave me the opportunity to run up with our middle school. And I know that as a female athlete, as a minority athlete, to be recognized and be given those opportunities, thank you. And just to our kids, Eleazar is our oldest, just wave there, El. He's a 3-time varsity athlete in football, basketball, and he's a sprinter in track, so I'm happy about that. And then Ephraim, our 2nd son, he's made state in swimming in Minnesota, but he's decided to focus on running. He's also made it to state in track and cross country, so he
has aspirations to run at a Division I level someday. And then Nishan, if you think back about all the races in North Dakota and the mile and that nostalgia, and when I see Nishan run, I'm like, that's your next miler right there. So that's going to be fun to watch. And then, of course, Nathan the baby, probably have to say he's following in Dad's footsteps there. Maurice played at Tennessee with Peyton Manning. He went on to do a free agent deal with Carolina Panthers, and but kind of from the time that Nathan was born, he said if there's a first-round draft pick, that's him there. So I just want to tell you guys, thank you for coming here. Thank you, Maurice, my parents, my coach, for the sacrifices, for the support. I know that my parents made a lot of sacrifices along the way. We didn't go on vacations, we went to competitions. Some of the boys did have basketball tournaments that it's hard to get us all together at the same time. But just thank you for coming out here. And again, it's just wonderful to come back with the family in North Dakota, and congratulations to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Next up, it's Donnie Schatz. Donnie, a 1995 graduate of Minot High School, never thought his name would end up in the history books. But as a 10-year-old, he started racing go-karts. And his passion, perseverance, tenacity, patience, commitment has turned him into one of the greatest of an all-time sprint car champions and dirt track racers in the history of the sports. Now, after racing go-karts for several years locally, in 1993 he switched to 360 sprint cars with victories at the Red River Valley Speedway. By 95 he had 11 WISSOTA wins and was runner-up in the national points. He wasn't slowing down yet. In 96 he was the WISSOTA national champion. After switching to a 410 cubic inch motor, he qualified for the King's Royal Race in Eldora, Ohio, and placed 8th on national television. In January of 97, Schatz began his illustrious career with the World of Outlaws, was named Rookie of the Year, and was named North Dakota Athlete of the Year in 1998, along with his first A feature win in Cottage Grove, Oregon. Well, Schatz continued his journey, and he posted double-digit wins with 23 in 2006 under the World of Outlaws sanction. Already impressing racing enthusiasts, he repeated his 23 wins in 2007. He then became the first driver in history to win the Australian Sprint Car International Outlaws Down Under finale in Australia and the Silver Cup, King's Royal, Summer Nationals, the Knoxville Nationals, and the National Open, all the most prestigious events in one year, while driving the family-owned car by his parents, Danny and Diane Schatz. He finished the year by winning the Economaki Champion of Champions Award, along with the Sprint Car Pole Driver of the Year. Now, in 2008, Schatz joined Tony Stewart Racing, was named the 2008 NDA PSSA Dakota Award. His 2013 through 2017 career puts him in the history books as the only driver to win over 20 World of Outlaws races each year, with the most iconic in 2015 with 31 wins. In 2017, he recorded his 8th World of Outlaw Championships and 10th Knoxville Nationals win. Now in 2021, it was announced that Schatz would make his NASCAR and stock racing debut in the inaugural Truck Series race at Knoxville Raceway. He also competed in late model racing and midget car races. With approximately 80 nights of racing each year, starting in late January through November, Schatz continues his lifetime racing passion. His perseverance, commitment, and loyalty to the sport of racing speaks for itself. In April 2023, USA Today published the top 10 list for best motorsports race. The Knoxville Nationals ranked third, only behind the Indy 500 and the Formula One's U.S. Grand Prix at Circuit of the Americas. The Knoxville Nationals have been run 60 times. Schatz has 11 of those victories, with the latest in August of 2022. Donnie has a stepdaughter, Savannah, and he has his girlfriend, Heather, by his side tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, on your feet for 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame inductee, Donnie Schatz.
Party foul. Pretty amazing moment, really, for motorsports. Motorsports don't normally get recognized as a sport or being an athlete, so being one of the first people to be in the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame is tremendously special to me. You know, this journey, it started 40 years ago. My father took me to, the Nodak Speedway on a Sunday evening, and they had these weird-looking cars, and for some reason, I fell in love with them, like right then and there, 5 years old. And I fell in love with racing right then and there. And anybody that grew up with me can tell you that's all I wanted to do. It's all I wanted to pursue. Back then, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have Facebook. What we had was a bi-weekly paper, Speed Sport. That's how we got race results. That's how we could see things. That's how we saw pictures of cars, because we didn't have them nationally televised. We didn't have all the things that brought them to us. So I was that kid that would read the papers over and over and over, nonstop. But I immediately fell in love with racing when my father took me. And it became my dream to be able to race one of them cars one day. And naturally, I got that opportunity in 1993. And once I fulfilled that dream, then it became one I wanted to win a race. I wanted to make that my career. I wanted to make it my life's work, my goal. And I wanted to race with the best in the world, which is the World of Outlaws. And I got that opportunity in 1997. And I've been doing that ever since. But you go out there and you race on a national level, you race 85 nights a year. It can be very grueling. I know we say that, and then we see some of these baseball games and basketball games. These guys play 100-plus games a year. It's absolutely crazy. You want to win a race. And then once you win a race, then you want to win a championship. And I've been very fortunate to do both those and continue on. 2006, I was able to win a championship. Felt like it was life-altering, but really it didn't change anything. It made you feel success because all the blood, the sweat, the tears you put in they were all worth it. You want to succeed. But after 30 years of being in the sport, I have been very fortunate to be surrounded by great people, great family. I've been able to create endless memories, as well as I've built great friendships with fans and entertained people all over this country and all over the world. Everyone gets to see the success, and they record it in record books. But there's no record book for the failures. They're never seen. They're always hidden. Everyone has them. I've had plenty. But somehow, always found a way to get the better side of the failures. Today's environment, Everyone wants instant success, instant gratification, and that wasn't my path. I get asked a lot, what would you give for advice to the youth, the next generation? And I'd say, well, it's like this. My path, it's like growing a tree from a seedling. You're not going to put it in the ground and it's not going to be 35 foot tall overnight. I've tried that. I got trees that are 20 years old and they're only this tall. So my path was that same way. It takes lots of dedication, it takes passion, and it takes a lot of heart. And it all happened right here. The communities I grew up in, born and raised in Minot, resided in Fargo, trying to pursue my professional racing career. Everybody in those communities supported me wholeheartedly. Thank you for that. And everyone from North Dakota. North Dakota has had some great events and great races, and they're always great people. It's the events that I look forward to going to every year. It doesn't matter if it's Bismarck or Grand Forks or Minot or Fargo. They're always incredible events. This great state helped propel me at a national level of fulfilling my dream in big-time auto racing. It's an honor to be a member of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. And thank you again for recognizing someone in the motorsports field as an athlete. Thank you all.
Thank you, Donnie. Class X. One more time, let's hear it for Chris, Becky, and Donnie. Yes, silent auction items. Now, does that mean we can still bid, or does that mean you're closing them out? Last call on the silent auction items, okay. And Scott can still help you wet your whistle over there. The 50-50, got the 50-50 money here? Well, looks like a pretty good chunk. 2. Oh, we're talking about $300 here. I think I'm just gonna bet this on Donnie winning his next race. Okay, $300. 50-50 winner. Get your tickets ready. We've got about $300 here. You still want to buy one? You didn't know about the 50-50 tickets? Well, get your tickets out because we have $300 to give away, and thank you for everybody who took part in our 50-50. Again, we are a nonprofit. I keep beating a dead horse here, but all this money is so important it helps pays for tonight's function. Here's the winning ticket, 0929232. That's good for $300. 0929232. I have money for you. Edie. Come on down, Edie. I suppose I got to be official and confirm this. Yep, it's a match. Congratulations. And you can spend that right over there on the silent auction items. All right, we're about set to wrap things up tonight on this wonderful evening. Marie Staley, would you please come forward for the benediction?
Let's give the inductees one last round. Let us depart from our gathering this evening with the purpose sense of service, to replicate all of the love, sacrifice, commitment, selflessness, and competitive vigor stirred within our souls tonight. May we, too, make ourselves open to be used as we have celebrated how God has used these wonderful athletes during their career. May others hear reflection within us, thus giving them something to remember that says they are choosing to allow a greater power to use them for a particular service they have been called to. Have a good evening.
Thank you all for coming tonight, being part of this historic evening. And we want to thank our sponsors again tonight, because without their help, this wouldn't happen. Buffalo City Grill, Dale's Auto Wall and more, Jason Braun Dentist, Hardy Insurance, Medicine Shop Pharmacy, the Jamestown Sun, Wilhelm's, Newman's, Signs, Fargo Youth Baseball, RM Stout, Fargo Moorhead Redhawks, Bill Tarnell, Winauer Financial Group, Microsoft, Sanford Health, and Donnie Schatz Racing. And I'm guessing the inductees will be available if you're looking for some autographs and would like to mingle. Thank you.
All right, well, that will conclude our 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony.
Okay, inductees.
All right, I thought it will.
We'll take pictures with all the inductees, and you can have your families, your friends, whatever you want to get into the picture, that's fine. See the big North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame logo? Gather over there, all the inductees. Bring your family members, bring your friends. Pictures will be taken over there.
All right, I think we are done now. Just giving some instructions there. So once again, thanks for tuning in for our first annual broadcast here on Magnitude Sports at the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. And congratulations once again to Chris Kost, Becky Wells Staley, and Donnie Schatz for being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame. They joined some North Dakota greats like Phil Jackson, who was the coach of the Chicago Bulls in 1988 at 5 NBA championships. Of course, all famous Roger Maris, baseball player, who played outfielder, was an American League Golden Glove Award, and a couple other ones. Virgil Hill from Grand Forks and Williston, a very popular boxer out of North Dakota. Some of the others that they have joined tonight, I won't go through every one of them, otherwise we'll be on here for a few hours, but Jack Brown, of course, there's a baseball stadium here in Jamestown named after Jack Brown. And Sid Sickey, of course, there's a football stadium at Fargo Shanley that's named after him. Phil Hansen, he played for the Buffalo Bills. He played for the Oaks Tornadoes, and he currently officiates some North Dakota and Minnesota sports here in the Fargo Moorhead and surrounding area. Of course, he played for the Buffalo Bills for 11 seasons, I do believe it was, and he appeared in 3 Super Bowls. Phil Hansen did. Great guy. And then some of the others that they're joining here tonight. Jim Kleinsasser from Carrington, North Dakota. You may recognize that name. He played for the Minnesota Vikings. And let's see here, Darren Erstad, of course, right here from the home of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame, Jamestown, North Dakota. Got the Silver Slugger Award in 2000. And he also picked up the Roberto Clemente Award in 2005 and played with the Anaheim of Los Angeles Angels. And he has a World Series title in 2002. And, yeah, that's just a few of the big names from the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. And for those who I didn't mention, you know, like I said, it'd take a few hours if we were to go through all of these here. But so thank you once again for tuning in. And man, this was a great experience. I'd never been to something like this before personally, and certainly look forward to doing it again. And we hope that you enjoyed it again. If you missed any of this broadcast, it is available on demand here, probably within a few minutes after we shut down our stream. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And this is Mike on Magnitude Sports, live from Jamestown Civic Center in the home of the North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame. You have been watching the 2023 North Dakota Sports Hall of Fame induction ceremony here live on Magnitude Sports. Thanks so much for tuning in. Our next broadcast is going to be on November 28th when we kick off the girls' basketball season. The boys' basketball season kicking off on November 30th. We'll see some North Dakota teams on December 16th and in February as well here on Magnitude Sports. And then, of course, Fargo Post 400 baseball coming up this spring as well. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, click on the bell and all that good stuff, and you'll be good to go. You'll be ready to go when we're ready to go for this winter sports season. Have a great night, and thanks for tuning in. We'll talk to you again soon.
Broadcast was an exclusive presentation of the Magnitude Sports Network. Subscribe, click the bell, and visit magnitudesn.com for a schedule of our upcoming broadcasts.